All the links to the original posts are given in the description. So now let's head straight to the video.
My husband said something interesting. It's not my house anymore, I guess. I and my husband have 3 little ones under 7. We moved to a new state and started building a new house. This was before the recent global pandemic, so we got a substantially large home for a great price. I'm talking 4K SQFT, 5BD, 4 bath for 280K. Jake has an older sister. Her lifestyle is very different from mine. We have the same profession, however I graduated, got married, and had a baby all within the same year, so since then I've been a som. Whilst she is living in high pay, cost area, solo. Her lifestyle is glamorous, but her attitude is gutter. Oh, and she makes twice as much as my husband. For those of you thinking I'm jealous, I can write forever in another post, which I might do, but even the small snippet I'm writing now could sum up a general idea of our relationship. So during the pandemic, Sil got married and pregnant to someone in a different continent. She decided she wanted to move closer to our family. During this time, my MIL and Phil moved in with her 2 months before the baby was due. To be the apt. They're both able-bodied people, believe it or not. Sil tried to pass them off onto us, saying she needed space, etc. We told her not only did her dad have his doctor apt set up there, but she will also need the help since her husband wasn't coming anytime soon. We were right. Nil went to hospital and became nanny. Thus it began. I found the perfect luxury house and community, sent her all details and videos of me walking through this place. It's 25 minutes away from my house. She swore up and down it wasn't her thing, etc, etc. At the time the house I showed was 5BD 4 bath, like a Barbie dream house. Even my husband loved it. With all the top upgrades it came to 445K. We said build it, it takes a year. If you don't want it you can leave it. She still decided no. I understood this and wasn't bothered much since I figured she's having a baby, so stress and stuff. After she had the baby, she resumed with having Jake and I searched for a house. Petty me, I resent her everything I sent before. She loved it. She flew down and signed the contract now at the price of 590K. My husband and I were diligent in the house process, continuously checking up on it, etc. However, whenever the builders needed her input, she would make them wait 2-3 weeks before giving them an answer. She then started to tell us she wasn't sure she wanted to move 2 divided by 4ths of the completion. The builder's agent and hers would contact us because she was difficult to deal with. We know. This continued for till the house was completed. Unfortunately, during the construction my mother was diagnosed with a cancer that required me to go take care of her. The children and I were gone for 8 months. She beat the cancer. I returned home. 2 weeks later my mother passed. I returned to her home solo to mourn and handle the estate for a week. Upon returning, my husband informed me that his sister is closing on the house and finally flying back down to see it. Cool. She came, she closed, then flew home to handle her moving affairs. This was a month worth. I had 2 family members visit for a weekend trying to help with the mourning process. Upon leaving I knew that the sister and whole family would be staying at my house for 2 weeks to start moving into their house literally the next day. So, they came. Was alright. I gave Sil all the stores, even went with her to some. This is where it gets gritty. For the first 13 days she supposedly didn't find anything. Remember, she also had a month. Finally, at the end of the 2 weeks she bought herself a bed. So now she still needed sofa, table, parents' bed, child's bed. Week 3 comes around and no purchases. Week 4 comes around, she's still at my house for some reason and finally buys a couch. A month and a week total, she says she'll be heading out to her house with the baby. My husband asks what about parents' bed? She says OMG, I forgot about them. I guess I can get a mattress and box spring and put it on the floor. Will that be alright? My blood boiled. Points to recognize. The parents are old. The mother has mercilessly watched her son for 20 months so far, and I continuously show her queen sets with all the stores we visited. I left the table and returned to sulky me in my room. When my husband returned, I reminded him how he said 2 weeks and we were now on 5. We decided the next day to bring her to an outlet. Didn't matter, like the trips we did before. She quickly walked past queen bedroom sets. It was evident to me she had no plans whatsoever to move her parents into her house. She looked around the store and every bed set she would say, I can't fit this set in my guest room. Your guest room is larger than mine. Her guest room is bigger than the room she's currently staying in at my house, which has a 6-piece queen size bed set in it. This was Saturday. I reminded my husband I'll be having my sister, aunt and best friend over the next Saturday, so he needs to handle his sister and fam. He assured me it'll be taken care of. I also told him about his sister plans to keep her parents at our place. My husband responded with, well, it'll be 50/50. I responded with 50/50 what? She built the house knowing she was moving in with her parents, even got a sliding door installed in their room so they could quickly walk out to the yard. He responded with the 50/50 again. I again relayed, for people living 20-ish minutes away, you don't need to do 50/50. Let me just add here, I'm cordial with the parents, but that's it. So, this moving in thing, not only a shock but a WTF. My husband traveled for work the next day. The sister supposedly moved out of my house Monday and hired a temporary nanny. However, she left her room with 2 bags full of her baby items. This time she left diaper bag, diapers, clothes, blankets, medication. I took a picture and sent it to my husband. He told me not to move anything. I reminded him my family was coming and I needed to clean the room. Again, he told me not to touch it. He doesn't want conflict. What? Yesterday I called my husband and informed him that when he returns Wednesday we'll need to talk. He said let's do it now. Sure. I cussed him out as I packed his sister's things left in the room into a bag. I packed all the bottles, baby food, and utensils from my kitchen. I placed it all in the foyer. My husband said just please put it in his mom's room. I responded with whose room and ended the call. Forgot to mention my garage has boxes of diapers, a stroller and nonsense of hers in it. Didn't she move into her house? I reiterated this to my husband, which he agreed. Today my husband returned home, saw the full carload that I collected and agreed. I asked him about the bed for his parents, which he said he doesn't know if she got one yet. Right? My children were being kids when it came to dinner, very annoying. They didn't eat dinner, so I sent them upstairs to their room. My husband suggested we cook them something else. I said nah, my parents used to say eat or sleep and there was nothing wrong with the food. My husband replied people don't do that. I said well, in my house I'm not going to let them waste food. Maybe in an hour we'll try something else. My husband responded with stop saying this is your house. I was taken aback and said what? In my house you want me to stop saying my house? He replied with well, do you pay the mortgage? I laughed, loud enough for his parents to hear. Pulled out my phone and started canceling my husband's authorized credit cards. I'm a som, but I have passive income of $3K a month. I use this for our kids' clothes, groceries, school lunches, my car 2023 Nissan Pathfinder, internet, streaming services, etc. My credit is excellent. Well, my husband crashed his, and of course to rebuild him I authorized him on 3 of mine. My husband pays mortgage, car insurance, phone bill, and a $8,000 loan he owes me. My name is on the deed of the house. He's angry sleeping now since I'm upset enough that I finally wrote on Reddit, which of course he doesn't approve of. There's now 2 days till my family comes over. His parents are still in the guest room. The accumulated baby items in my garage, and him feeling a strain on my mental health. I personally think now that my mom is gone they're trying to make it seem like my family doesn't matter or something. When I wanted to use the guest room before for a hobby, it was meant for guests, all our friends, etc. Now he's putting it as his parents' room. Lol, I don't even remember my question for y'all. Like if the sister wanted to chill solo in her new house for 2 months or something, she needed to only ask, and if I wasn't having people coming over, no big deal. But she didn't. Neither did my husband. Help somewhere, I guess. My husband is the problem. And the problem. Why didn't I find a house an hour away? Now let's move on to the second story. I don't believe my mom's excuse for bailing on me while I was in labor. I recently gave birth to my second child. My parents live 6 minutes from my husband, and so our game plan was when I go into labor my parents would come and watch our first child while we were at the hospital. My dad is very involved with our daughter, but my mom often skips out on play dates and dinners I set up because she is too tired from work or doesn't feel up to it. For clarification, she works 6 to 8 hours days as a receptionist in a medical clinic. My parents were ecstatic to be able to watch her while I would be at the hospital because they would be the first ones to meet the new baby then. Well, I went into labor 2 weeks early on a Friday, and my dad was out of town for work and wouldn't be home till Sunday evening. I called my mom, and she said she would be there but had to run to Target first. She got to our house 2.5 hours later. I was freaking out because I went quickly with my first, and they said you go faster with the second. She got there, and when we laid out all the instructions and said we would probably be discharged late Sunday or early Monday, she was visibly surprised. She asked if we really thought it would be all weekend, and she would need to cancel plans. I asked then and there if we should bring my daughter with and call my in-laws to meet us at the hospital. My mom said it was fine and she would happily watch her. My in-laws are amazing with our daughter and are definitely the more involved grandparents, but they live farther away, and my husband and I were worried it would take too long for them to get to our house. My mom called us early on Saturday morning and said she had a headache and couldn't watch our toddler and asked us to call my in-laws to come get her. My husband called his parents, and they literally showed up in their PJs by 6:15 a.m. I called my older sister to vent about how unreliable our mom was and how I thought she faked a headache to get out of watching our daughter. My dad is the one that plays with her, gets meals ready, and does bedtime on the few occasions they have babysat her. I said she just wanted to get out of it because my dad wasn't there to actually do the work. For background, my mom used the headache excuse very often when I was growing up to get out of family things to have alone time at the house. Well, my sister asked my dad if it was legit or if she was just trying to get out of it when she realized what a big commitment it was. My dad told my mom, and when my parents came to meet the new baby for the first time, she told me I was an asshole for thinking she would fake a headache to get out the responsibility. I can't shake the feeling that she lied about it, and I've taken a step back from including them with my family's events with the kids. I don't know if this is the right move or if this is me being petty. I'm tired of being the one to initiate all contact and visits with my mom and my kids when she don't make an effort to have a relationship with them on her own. Is it fair of me to pull back and stop being the one to initiate her seeing my kid? FAQ, my mom has no barriers to healthcare and have been asked by my dad, siblings, and I to be evaluated by a neurologist, and she has always refused, saying they aren't that bad. This is the first and only time I have ever asked my mother to babysit alone. In the 2 years of my daughter collective they have babysat, maybe 5-6 times, for 2-3 hours. This is not a regular request, and they are not common caretakers for my daughter by any means. My mom hasn't been a flake my entire life. This is more of a recent thing in the last few years. She was a good mom growing up and is now pretty indifferent. I can call her and she won't call me back. Same with text, so our relationship as mother-daughter is pretty low communication and I have accepted that. However, she regularly makes comments about how she doesn't get to see the kids or gets upset when my daughter won't hug her, kiss her when she asks. My husband and I have repeatedly told her that my daughter doesn't need to show affection if she doesn't want to, and my mom will continuously push for a hug or kiss. She very much so wants the credit for the doting grandma but without actually trying to build a relationship. I should have called my in-laws from the beginning when I knew my dad wouldn't be available, but I honestly had hoped she would step up given the situation. And y'all, I don't even know how to address the Target thing. I have no idea why that was necessary or why it took as long as it did. If you like the story, hit the like and don't forget to subscribe the channel, and thanks for watching.